Greetings, brothers and sisters. How y'all doing? All praise, all glory to the Father in the name of Yahushua and the Abba Yahweh. Uh, well, before I get into the topic, because obviously it's a follow up to the Bloodlines video I dropped like 2 weeks ago. Probably not gonna be as long since we talked about a lot of like the basics, I guess, in the first one. But this second one, we're gonna get into some other stuff. But anyway, I know y'all remember that last video I dropped talking about auras and such. And so obviously, since niggas made the video, of course I gotta follow my own advice. So I've been keeping up with it. Not even on no goddamn training archetype. Like not even 14 hours out the day. Like 4 hours out the day. When I wake up and before I go to sleep, we going hard. And I still can't see it yet. But look. But anyway, though, we gotta talk about these niggas some more because, alright, here's the deal. The whole reason I even like got to thinking about I want to make this second part is because of this nigga on YouTube called Robert Sepper, right? Who, honestly, at this point in time, really ain't nobody else dropping videos like his. So I got to watching him because I was just like, damn, this man's really revealing a lot of information. So obviously, I got skeptical. I'm like, all right, well, shit, I know how this goes. You're not just gonna be talking about the stuff that he's talking about because this nigga's literally like exposing niggas, and they not coming after him. So long story short, you can honestly tell just he be endorsing sex magic. He throwing up the double dudes like all the rest of them. He talks about how Aleister Crowley is misunderstood on some other shit. So this nigga's a shill. He's a part of them. That's besides the point. The point is, I can use this nigga's videos to put across. What's the best word for this? To put across, I guess, like the nature of this, because again, I think I spoke about it in the last video. It's hard to really understand sometimes how the fact that niggas is not normal. Okay, once you get, cause, bro. Like the vast majority of the world, vast majority of the world, as I'm sure I do not need to tell you, has no idea about any of the shit we talk about. And if they did know, they probably want to not know because they can't. They don't want to live with the darker truths of this world. And you know what? That's just the way it has to be sometimes. So that's besides the point. Niggas is not normal. But what they like to do is they they lie about us, they lie about themselves. Like I've said before many times, like many other people have said, the devil's power, quotation marks, is in the occult and the hidden, because once they're out in the open, they really ain't got nothing to shoot at you. They ain't got no firepower, so they gotta stay in the dark and throw stones from where they're fortified and protected for the time being. As we know it all, this is the devil's world per se, and the largest chapter of well, you ever wonder why these niggas lie so much? They talk about how we know more about space than we do our oceans and shit. That's actually not true at all. Them niggas know more about space and about the oceans because the reason why they tell you niggas don't know 80% of what's not in the ocean because they don't want you to know that the largest chapter of Satan's kingdom is down there, right? The Marines. And I talked about them before in the video. If you don't know what the Marine Kingdom is, you really need to know because they're like, that's them. That's the bottomless pit, the abyss, the ocean, Marianas Trench, shit like that. Where else are these niggas gonna go? Regardless, though. So, these niggas, man, they have they fucking slimy little tentacles everywhere, and the majority of the world worships them. Damn near every nation, country, religion in some way, shape, or form worships marine deities, bro. Like, that's where you get the whole Aquaman shit from. The damn, all these sea creatures, like the Kraken, Leviathan, shit like that. That's where all that comes from. You ever wonder who the Starbucks cup is? That's not just any mermaid, nigga. That's Melusine. That's they deify and worship this shit. You have to understand, like, these niggas. Okay, let me put it this way. So we're not normal. We already know that. First of all, Israel is the chosen bloodline. Like I was said before in the good book. Out of all the families, nations of the earth, I chose you, right? Only you. So off rip, off rip, niggas ain't normal. 'Cause remember, he said that to him. All the other nations are like dust. They're nothing. They're just vanity. So off the rip, niggas ain't normal. On top of that, you got the Holy Spirit indwelling in people, which just in the way it is now already, all sorts of supernatural stuff be happening. Then you got the 144. As we done talked about that at length. Then you got the arcs of the 144. We done talked about that at length. One of them's talking to you right now. And that's where you get into the whole half angel, half human, RH negative, gammas, all that. Okay, well, that's us. Them niggas, they got a lot going on too. Okay? They got a lot going on too. They put all this stuff in movies, like all these. We're not even talking about just Nephilim, because that's obvious. It's just like us, but bad. We're not even talking about just that. They got all these god kings, these hybrids, and like we're gonna talk about what a Pendragon really is. Like Arthur Pendragon, that's basically like, I mean, it's obvious if you can just look at the tail. It's like just pick out the parallels. But like a Pendragon is like a high dragon, like not like a high dragon, like a high king in the dragon bloodline. So a Pendragon to them is literally like somebody from the Davidic bloodline over here. You feel me? Except fucking just and I apologize because this is a not even like this is that complicated of a topic, but niggas just know a lot for real, so it's hard to organize my thoughts sometimes. Which is why I don't listen to no man. I got everything I need from up above, which is why I can't stand when niggas be trying to tell me stuff like I need to hear it from them, but that's besides the point. So these niggas, man, these Pendragons and such, we're gonna get into it when we start talking about more of these clips, but they'll put it in the movies, be like, oh, this nigga's half fucking fishman or something, or this nigga over here got knighted by a literal demon, like a literal marine sea creature demon, because you have to understand, these marine spirits are the wicked of the wicked, like Apollyon and shit, that's his kingdom. Not for much longer, but for the time being, that's his kingdom, right? And these are the niggas that's responsible for damn near everything that's like wrong with the earth, right? But let me play some clips though, get some context going so we can start breaking this stuff down.
It is just possible that in the Merovingians we may have a dynasty of Germanic Hirconage, which means army kings or military leaders, derived from an ancient kingly family of the migration period. The princedoms of Vir are actually cultural manifestations of genetic qualities carried in the historical elven blood royal. Established in Angers in 740 as a royal house arising from far older sacral, regal, Pictish, Scythian Vir origins rooted in antiquity, the House of Vir is recorded in a single name and in an unbroken line for over 1,300 years, and consequently is one of the oldest surviving royal dynasties in Europe. The House of Vir are descended in numerous lines from the Merovingian dynasty and consequently share in this ancient Germanic royal blood tradition. Here's Nicholas de Vir in his own words.
What is the significance of the dragon symbolism, symbolizing, I guess, the origin of this race and the source of the power that it represents? I remember you saying in your book that you can trace that back to the Sumerian figure of Tiamat, the original dragon goddess, who sort of represented the chaos out of which the universe was created.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you exactly?
The symbol of the dragon.
Yes, in connection to what you're doing.
Transcendent consciousness.
Okay.
The ability to clear the mind. Let's have a look at the word dragon. The word dragon comes from the Greek edrakon, which is what they call an aorist, or a verb that hasn't got a past, present or future tense. It's just a verb. Of the word dokesthai, which is a word which simply means to see clearly. Now, that means that the word dragon simply means one who sees clearly. The idea of kingship, or the word, let's have a look at the word king. King means to see clearly, and dragon means to see clearly. So therefore, dragon king is a bit of a tautology, really, because dragon and king are the same thing, or dragon and prince, the first. The symbol of dragon for me represents, firstly, you have the serpentine quality of it, which has always been associated with healing, with the spinal column and the cerebral cortex and so on. Secondly, as a serpentine figure with wings, it shows that that healing power, or the healing of the mind, has transformed the individual, who now has a higher overview of life through clarity than perhaps other people do. And this is why they were chosen as kings, and this is why, through social engineering for millennia, it was hoped to ensure that that clarity of vision would become hereditary. That's what the symbol means to me.
The stories of your ancestors, the oldest ones, the ones that I guess could be identified with the gods of the ancient world, seems like, and I'm just generalizing a whole lot because we're talking about different figures from all sorts of different cultures throughout history,
Yeah.
But in general we see the same themes in the myths surrounding these figures, that the original race that they came from, the original royal race, is something beyond what we consider to be human now, and that they came from some sort of other world, something that isn't the Earth that we know today, that they had some sort of transcendent quality to them that was non-earthly and non-human. Is that correct?
Yes. We are doing research now, Mark Pinkham and I, into the origins of the Anunnaki way back nearly 40,000 years now, 10,000 years before the hybridization of humanity, to possibly Kashmir. They seem to be linked very, very closely with the sons of Shiva, or the Jats, of whom the main king was Sanat Kumrai, who seems to be the first Grail king in human form, so to speak. The place that Shiva came to Earth, which is very much like the falling to Earth of Lucifer, was in what they now call Shangri-La, with this otherworldly situation. But for our people, we have always been associated with Shangri-La, the Elysian Fields, Arcadia, Tiana Nog, Anwin, which is basically death for the other world.
As you can see, all they're doing is copying us. They can't create their own shit, so they copy, flipping, and Bert. It's just like King David, just like the world Davidic bloodline, except it's dragons and shit. And that's the thing they do on purpose with all these L's. First of all, bro, fantasy is reality, as you should already know at this point. And whether you want to believe it or not, you gonna find out real soon. Anyway, though, they do that shit on purpose. They'll put all these elves and fairies and shit in fiction and portray them a certain way, not only to make you think they're not real, but to make them look like they're not. There's nothing nice about fairies or elves or anything like that. That's the dragon seed, literally. So, like, every time you see, set it in the damn shit. Like, they descend from elven bloodlines, which are straight up demons, bro. Aliens. Like, we're aliens. We're not from here. They're the same way, except they're evil as hell. Like, these same niggas are the ones that built Stonehenge. And, like, when you hear, for example, basically, all right, I can't really find the, oh, that's the video. Okay, so look, that's crazy. Earlier, I was finna look for a video, which was basically talking about how the Celts, like the Celtic mythology, where you hear about the big blind niggas with the big green cloaks and the gold rings around their necks, and like the fairy courts and elven high courts and shit. All that shit's real, but it got flipped around because it's basically kind of like what happened to us. Like, their enemies, which we would call the modern day Celts, got the upper hand on them and basically struck their name out from history and took their place. So yeah, it's kind of like what happened with us, actually, which is crazy. But all that shit's real. Them the type niggas that built Stonehenge and shit, and them the type niggas that was doing all this other wicked shit. Because you have to, well, not even you have to understand. I'm sure you can just get stuff like Stonehenge and stuff, which is built over ley lines. Maybe not Stonehenge, but the type of monuments be built over ley lines and shit. I know Stonehenge for a fact is aligned with the stars and such, which is used for all types of weird shit. So this type of knowledge does not come from just regular mortal man. Just like the type of stuff I'm saying is not coming from just me, Marlon Jermaine Cloud Jr., sitting here talking. Nah, there's higher powers working through me. Just like there's higher powers working through y'all. Just like there's higher powers but lower than our power working through these niggas, right? Anyway, though.
That said, it is these Aryan tribes that went by many names, including Scythians, that migrated into Europe in several waves, becoming the Druids, and intermarrying with the royal families and becoming sovereigns, the royal dragon bloodline. The House of Dracul, or Dracula, which means dragon, and that Prince Charles claims direct lineage, descended from Attila the Hun and was established in Central Europe by the sons of Genghis Khan. So the Druid kings were descended from Scythian royalty and later became the Merovingian dynasty, which eventually converted to Christianity. Even after their conversion to Christianity, the Merovingian rulers, like the patriarchs of the Old Testament, were polygamous, particularly with their own bloodline. This ancient use of polygamy in a royal family and occult sex magic is very ancient, as the Scythian line also stretches back into ancient Egypt and ancient Mesopotamia.
So yeah, you heard the man himself. I mean, that's why Hitler and his butt buddies was so damn adamant riding these Aryans so hard, because those are the tall, blonde haired, blue eyed niggas that you always hear about. They're aliens. They're not from here. They're a highly defective, malevolent, and destructive species that need to all die. Understand? All they do is cause problems. All right. That's why, for example, a nigga like Link from The Legend of Zelda, who's clearly supposed to represent the seed of Jacob, is blonde with blue eyes because it's an inversion. He's supposed to be black with white hair and probably brown eyes. But they flip it around because these niggas want to be on top so bad. Right? These are the niggas that gave Hitler and them all the technology. These are the niggas that, that's them. And you heard, like, these are the pharaohs, these are the druids, the Scythians, which are actually a lost tribe of Israel. And if you don't know about the Scythians, man, they used to do shit like once niggas die, they would literally sacrifice them, boil their flesh, and eat them. Okay? So these are the type of people, these are the type of things we're dealing with. They intermarried within the family. And there you go, you got kings down to this very day. To this very day. That's the left hand side, okay? So they got all that going on, and we destined, ordained to just completely lay them to waste, bring the sword upon them, and show them why they should have, had some foresight as to how this would have ended up. Way back when. So they got all that going on, and we meant to destroy that in glorious fashion. Not even like this is finna be what am I trying to say? A close victory. Like, obviously, we gonna have to put some effort into it. Like, these niggas not just finna go out like some hoes. I'm not gonna say that, but we're finna win by a large margin. So obviously, we gotta be hitting heavyweight, man. I'm not even talking about just people like me, or just like 44 you. I'm talking about just the nation. The whole nation finna get some of this ruach. Everybody. Cause you got I said this before, but you got the nation, you got the 144, and you got the arcs. It's like you got the nation, the civilians, you got the army, and then you got the leaders of the army. And of course, we all by the ocean, and but that's how that goes, right? But everybody got gamma. It's just different amounts. So you see what I'm trying to say? Like, this is this bloodline war is super epic, cause and that's like the only reason all this information is coming out now, because we're so close towards the end. Like, man, I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell y'all, but I'm gonna tell y'all anyway. We not things are not finna be going the way they've been going for any longer past this year, man. This year is it. It's up. It's over with. All you gotta do is look at everything that's been going on since this shit started. This year is the year, cuz our father's tired of the bull. He's giving everybody plenty of chances. So many chances. So many chances. Like, you want to talk about why our father's worthy of praise, how long suffering he has been with these wicked fools. He's laid down deals. He's tried to get them to see reason. He's tried to like let them know like, look, you are not going to win. You are fighting a losing battle. All these types of things, time and time and time again, over and over and over. And all they do is continue to spit in his face, man. There's no more. It's no more. Okay, no more. This is done. It's done. So now niggas coming to find out all this. Half because they really don't care at this point. They're scrambling trying to figure out what to do with themselves. And half because this is what, well, all because this is what Abba intended. You know, he intended for this information to come out at this time. He intended for us all to be where we are at this time. And he intended for everything to go the way it's been going. You feel me? So yeah, when you see like like I like talk about fucking want to talk about Star Wars. Once you see the shit, red versus blue, the good guys versus the bad guys, the blue energy clashing with the red energy, that shit's not fake at all. Niggas do that right now and people just can't see it. Most people just can't see it and a lot of people just can't feel it. And nigga, what do you think spiritual warfare is? And I said before, there's no line separating. There's no line between, or let me be fancy. There's no line betwixt spirit and matter. You feel me? Matter is just spirit given form, you know, by the word through our Father's will. That's how that goes. So once this becomes physical, I mean, look, dude, the shit I've been doing recently. That's besides the point, though. But once this becomes physical, man, I mean, it's finna be shocking, but at the same time, it's finna be nothing new. Not to us, at least, because we've been vigilant. You know, we've been watching. We not gonna get caught off guard. We not gonna get, you know, it's not gonna come up on us like a thief in the night, because we did what we supposed to been doing. I'm talking about the rest of these niggas that, like, dog, you cannot understand how, like, well, you probably can understand how, like, not even frustrated, but, like, how dumbfounded I be looking at these niggas going about like shit's just normal. Like motherfuckers still worried about the election and just like trivial shit. Like y'all just y'all just asking to get caught off guard, huh? But yeah, man. It's not fake though. Like I said before, set your mind on things above. Like just if you got responsibilities in this world, just go through the motions, my nigga. That's all I be doing. Just be going through the motions, my nigga. Like, yeah, I still be talking to people, laughing with people or whatever, having fellowship or whatever. But at the end of the day, I care nothing for this material life, bro. Like, if I could really like, there's no way for me to really express to y'all how much I really don't care about like basically everything I see around me. It's like, man, I'm on something different, bro. But let's talk more about these niggas though. But yeah, one more thing though, all that sex magic, all that weird shit they be doing, like, bro, y'all, I did not even know it was that bad. Look, I knew that these niggas was wicked and that they love getting their rocks off. I had no idea that sex is literally like, dog, I cannot stress this enough. Sex is literally integral, vital to them, not to be fruitful and multiply like it's supposed to be. No, they use sex as basically like sex energy for them is basically like their ruach, bro. Like that's literally the basis of how they get all their power. I know you saw those damn hieroglyphs. Look, bro, I could not stop myself from laughing when I first seen that shit, because I was just like, half because I'm just kind of immature, but half because, like, bruh, are you fucking for real? Like, these niggas is, like, who do these niggas think they is, bro? Like, they refer to, like, getting off, like a male. They'll say, like, that's spilling the cup of Hermes. Like, who do you think you are, bro? What is this? Like, this is the type of shit that makes me want to go on a rampage. But I say all that to say, like, yeah, that all the like I just said earlier, bro, the dark side of the force versus the good side of the force. Like that's nigga, it's real. It's not fake. Like niggas literally made a whole video about auras. Straight off guided by the spirit, and then I come to find out that like by watching other videos about, they call it a million different things. They call it vril, prana, key, shit like that. Come to find out that everything they was talking about, I was talking about, except the real way, the Hebrew way. So I give all glory to the Father for that. You know, spirit incredible. But organ, though, that's like basically like dog. It's like an invisible force. It's not really invisible. It's just so fine you can't really perceive it, but it's everywhere. It's basically like the fifth element. They say that it's fire, earth, water, air, and then spirit. Yeah, it really is. And you have to realize that, like, if you're meant, like, we can use that. Like, certain ones of us can like use that, and that's the thing. Like, I'm saying to say back in the day, niggas was different, man. Like, they've done everything they can to keep humankind basically, like, that's why they put all this weird shit in the food. Got niggas going to school, waking up at 7 a.m., spraying shit in the skies, all types of stuff, and keeping all this information hidden, because this knowledge is enough to really f us up. Okay? Keep in mind, I'm not talking about that purple rain, because when that purple rain comes, it's a double, big, triple wrap. I'm just talking about what's been here the whole time, right? So it's hard to sometimes like get out the mindset of, oh, it's just the concrete jungle. I wake up, I go to work, and I sleep. Niggas gotta break up out of that and realize that all that is a cycle to keep niggas down. Cause I believe it was some dude who went on a trip to Antarctica. He said something like, there was a time where you have to where you have to set aside the basically like rationality of man and just realize what the truth is. The truth is so much stranger than fiction, cause like the American dream is fake as a motherfucker. But all that Star Wars, it used the force, the dark side, all that. That's real. Plain and simple. And as you can see, the left hand side is not too good. They're not too good.
As for the Druids, their kings were called Pendragons, as they were in the Middle East, and can be traced back to Anatolia, where they were also the Proto-Sumerian ancestors venerated by the Germanic secret societies, such as the Vril and Thule Society, and who also left mummified remains in China known as the Tocharians, near massive pyramids in China, which are either ignored or purposely hidden by the communist Chinese government, who know the truth of where their first emperors, swastikas, and dragon symbolism really stems from, not to mention Buddhism itself. This royal bloodline was also known as fairy royalty. So not only were the Druids or Dragon Kings Scythians from Aryan Anatolia, the same Aryan tribes that introduced the thunder god Thor and his hammer to Europe, which is named after Europa, a Phoenician princess, but also the Saxons or Anglo-Saxons, as well as the Getai, meaning goat in Swedish, which were also the Thracian tribes that once inhabited the regions to either side of the lower Danube in what is today northern Bulgaria and southern Romania, sharing affinities with the Goths, which are the German tribes of northern and eastern Europe, as well as the Guti of Mesopotamia, and becoming the mighty Kush Empire in India. Now let's look at a quote by Lawrence Gardner from his book Realm of the Ring Lords, The Myth and Magic of the Grail Quest. Quote, the Tuatha De Danann were the Black Sea princes of Scythia. Like the original dynastic pharaohs, they traced their descent from the great Pendragons of Mesopotamia. From them sprang the kingly lines of the Irish, Brutni, and the Picts of Scotland, Caledonia. In Wales they founded the royal house of Gwynedd, while in Cornwall, in the southwest of England, they were the sacred gentry known as Picts. So from a single cast of the original blood royal, whether known as the Sangreal, the Albigens, or the Ring Lords, we discover many of the descriptive terms which sit at the very heart of popular folklore. For here, in this one noble race, we have the elves, fairies, and pixies, not beguiling little folk, but distinguished kings and queens of the dragon succession.
The state or quality of being two or in two parts, dichotomy. A dual state or quality, dualism. A more simplified term for that is a double. Double. Remember when I gave you another clue and I said that there's a sound that was introduced into our language? It's the V sound. V is in vegetable. V is in very strange. It's not supposed to be there. So we don't call our location back home Tel Aviv. We use a B sound. B is in boy, Tel Aviv. So the devil doesn't exist because there's no V in our language. He is a double. Dabal. A double. And another point too, they replaced the U sound with their V. So if you remove that V and put the U sound back and the word devil, you get dual. And that's where the word dual comes from, which is why I call them exactly what they are. Inverted duplicates. Because they are the inverted duplicates or doubles of us. They are the polar opposites. A living dichotomy.
The once helpless and hapless prince. Is he now ready to claim his crown? Don't let us down. Let the games begin.
No. Now they end.
Well, there you go right there. Dragon bloodline versus Davidic bloodline, 2Ds. So you take this information and you look at something like the Legend of King Arthur Pendragon, and you see that the whole thing, they got the Knights of the Round Table, they're supposed to be the 12 disciples. They even got their own Judas. His name is Mordred. And you look at this shit and you realize it's nothing but an inverted ass satanic mockery, because these niggas know damn well what a Pendragon is, and they've known for the entire time. That's literally their whole succession. Like saying like I said earlier in the video, saying Pendragon to them is like saying King David or remember the royal bloodline to us. Like, nigga, the first Pendragon was the first murderer. You know exactly who I'm talking about. His name rhymes with pain. Whole lot of pain coming your way. As you can see in the video, the nigga who made that quote obviously venerates these niggas. He's talking about yep, Fails, Aries, Pixies there. Look, listen to what he said. Distinguished members of the dragon bloodline, distinguished kings and queens. These are our direct enemies. These are our direct enemies. The Arcs, the King, these are our direct enemies, bro. So when you look at niggas like the Great Fairies from The Legend of Zelda, or shit, this nigga Gloxinia from the 7 Deadly Sins, or who's another fucking Elsa. I mean, like you look, you realize this world is so fucked up. It's like, bruh, he finna cleanse the world by fire, man. It's all good. What are we worried about? I know I'm not worried about nothing.
Nestled in the mountains between France and Spain, there is a semi-isolated population of native European people that have long puzzled anthropologists, linguists, and historians because although they are Caucasoid, they do not fit in with the rest of the European population. Question: where did the Basques come from? No one knows exactly where the Basques come from. Some say they have lived in the area since Cro-Magnon man first roamed Europe. Some say they are descended from the original Iberians. More fanciful theories exist as well. One is that the Basques are the descendants of the survivors of Atlantis. Question: where did the Basque language come from? Just as no one is sure about the origins of the Basques themselves, linguists are not in agreement over the origins of Euskara, the Basque language, either. When asked, I found that the majority of the Basque people themselves maintain that they came from Atlantica, a powerful maritime nation that sank into the Atlantic Ocean after a terrible cataclysm, and from which a few survivors reached the Bay of Biscay and the Pyrenees Mountains. This, they say, is not just mythology, but their true pre-European ancestry.
So here, Luke 8, verse 31, this is the story of when the Messiah cast those demonic spirits out of the man, and he sent them into pigs, and the pigs went off the cliff. And where did they go into the cliff? Where did they go? They went into the water. They went straight into the water. That's what happened. They went into the water. All right. Why the water? Why the water? So, first of all, I wanted to say, when you hear me call Leviathan a whale, the whale just means dragon, serpent, sea monster. Okay? So let's look here at marine spirits. Who would have ever known that this was leading us back to the marine spirits? These are water spirits. They're from the marine agents. Marine spirits operate when people are consciously or unconsciously commit sexual sin. They employ marine spirits to war against individuals, families, governments, and even continents. So when you go here and see this, they go after families, nations, continents, governments. You guys, when I'm sitting here going through this now, I'm like, wow. So let's keep going. In most cultures of the world, there's an ancestral worship of marine deities. As a result of this, family members are dedicated to them. The dedication normally extends to generations yet unborn. This sounds like the third and fourth generation.
Have you ever looked at the Starbucks logo and wondered who or what that mythological creature was on it? Some say she's a mermaid, some say she's a siren, and others a sea nymph. In actuality, the beautiful maiden that is shown with a crown upon her head and two mermaid-like tails is none other than Melusine. In ancient medieval times, the tale of Melusine, or sometimes Melusina, is spoken in reference to a water fairy who was stricken with a condition of being half woman and serpentine, or half fish, every Saturday.
May have to do with the third common factor surrounding the will of D, which is the nature of inherited will. Now, this idea is a huge part of One Piece in general, and it certainly isn't only the bearers of D who carry inherited will. However, it does seem to be particularly potent within them. And this is highlighted by the final words of the legendary figure Whitebeard, who, while not a D himself, was told of its significance directly by Roger, who went on to claim that killing someone bearing the will of D would not extinguish the flames of their will, and that someone would eventually rise to inherit that will. And Whitebeard went on to specifically mention that someday someone would appear to carry on his old rival Roger's wishes. And it is assumed that this would come in the form of another D-bearer, which in the belief of Silver's Rayleigh is Luffy, but Luffy didn't just pop into existence as a result of that, and he inherited the middle initial directly through his familial line, from his father Monkey D. Dragon and grandfather Monkey D. Garp.
Key of Lord, monkeys. Key of Lord, monkeys. Think about that. The key of the Lord is a monkey.
And these family units are fairly common, another example of which being the Portgast family name, which was held by Portgast D. Rouge and Portgast D. Ace. And while we've not met any of them at the time of this recording, it was also mentioned by Jaguar D. Sol that everyone in his family also bore the initial D, which is interesting because the familial nature of it would potentially point to the idea of an old nation or clan who all bore the initial and who were split up and moved all over the world for unknown reasons. In that regard, one particularly popular theory even postulates that the Will of D represents the even more mysterious ancient kingdom, which was defeated by the alliance of the 20 kingdoms who went on to become the world government, essentially making those bearing the initial D the forgotten refugees of the world. Quixote Rocinante, a former world noble who explained to a young Trafalgar Law that within a certain land, which is inferred to be the Holy Land of Marijois, those who bear the initial D are considered the natural enemy of God, which makes a lot of sense because the world nobles, or celestial dragons, whatever you want to call them, do refer to themselves as gods.
両の頭を砕き割ろうとしただけだ。
覇王色の衝突だと。奴もそうなのか。
ドフラミンゴ猛獣が吠えてやがる。従えねえなら殺すだけ。16発の聖なる冗談。ホットスレッド。時世界はひっくり返るのさ。